So this week I got my first dose of the COVID vaccine. And if you're surprised by that, that's okay because I was too. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about the reason I got the vaccine, because this is not something that I hear a lot of people talking about. So first of all, I didn't get the vaccine because I wanted to protect other people. I do care about protecting other people. I do care about protecting myself. If there's anything that I can do to make sure that people around me be at risk, myself stay safe, I want to do that. But I would be lying if I said that I was altruistic enough for that to be a core motivator for me. I also didn't get it because I'm afraid of getting COVID. Like you and everyone else, I've spent the last year and a bit under the constant threat of contracting COVID. You know, we do what we can, whatever that looks like for you, but you can never really reduce the risk of getting corona to zero, right? There's always a chance, and you know, the people who are the most careful very often are the ones who get it. I believe the virus has been blown out of proportion. I believe the media's made it bigger than it is, but I still believe that it is a serious thing. And you know, everyone that I've talked to who's had it says it's the most terrible thing they've ever had. And you know, they talk about still having horrible symptoms from this disease 3-4 months down the road. So I don't think it's just a flu. I don't think it's just a bug. I think it is serious. It does kill people. It is dangerous. And you know, I am concerned about getting it. I am concerned about my family getting it. But that also wasn't a super serious motivator. And lastly, I didn't get the vaccine because I like vaccines. I would actually describe myself as very casually anti-vax. You know, I really like the fact that today I don't have to worry about dying from smallpox. I love the medical miracle that vaccines have been. But that being said, I'm not really looking forward to being anybody's guinea pig. And typically in the past, you know, when I've had to choose whether to get vaccines or not, or to get them for my kids, I'll take the ones that are, you know, long proven track record, safe, and I'll pass up the ones that are a little bit newer, a little bit less tested. So when they start talking about a COVID vaccine that's less than a year old, it's new RNA technology, like that seemed like a no-brainer. No thanks. You know, I'd said, you know, maybe in 3 years we'll see how it goes. You know, let somebody else test this thing. No thanks. I'm not interested. Yeah, I'm young. I'm healthy. I'm in a rural area. I'm a low-risk demographic. Why would I subject myself to that? And I was really happy with that until the vaccine was actually offered to me. And my response startled me. I realized I was afraid of the vaccine. Not the virus, the vaccine. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I know that Pfizer and 5G don't even belong in the same sentence. And you know, I joke around about growing a third arm or turning into a toad or getting better cell reception. But the truth of the matter is, like, I know the risks of this vaccine, and like the virus, it's been blown out of proportion. You know, most people who get the vaccine are fine, and then there are some who have really terrible reactions, and that really sucks. And you know, there's always that risk. Like, even when I went and got my shot and I sat down afterwards, and the nurse came and talked to me, she's like, "How are you feeling?" I was like, man, that was really scary. Like, you don't know what might happen. You're giving up control in some ways. But are you really giving up control, or are you giving up the illusion of control? See, what I found is that I was way more comfortable with the thought of getting COVID because I felt like it was something I could control, and way less comfortable with the thought of getting the virus because once that needle goes in you, you've let go of the steering wheel. You're no longer in the driver's seat of this train, right? And you don't know where you're going. You don't know what's going to happen. And you know, especially if you've been on social media and you know, your algorithms have fed you these reports of vaccine side effects, it can be a really scary thing. So as much as I really didn't want to get the vaccine, as much as I was really thought it was a risky move, I chose to get it because I wanted to face my fear, because I realized that I've been subscribing to a news feed that condemns people for being afraid of coronavirus, but then turns around and is equally or more so afraid of this Pfizer vaccine. And I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that level of hypocrisy for myself. I do believe lockdowns have been terrible in some ways. In many ways, I think the lockdowns have done more overall damage than the virus has. And maybe that's unavoidable, I don't know. But it's hypocritical of me to say that the lockdowns are damaging and then turn around and be unwilling to do anything on my part to defeat this virus and the pandemic and the lockdowns, right? So yeah, when I discovered how much fear I was living under regarding this vaccine, when I discovered how much of a negative news feed I had subscribed to regarding the vaccine and the negative possibilities and all the things that could possibly ever go wrong, when I realized what was going on there, I decided to confront that personally, and I booked my appointment, I got my shot. I gotta say it was scary, but I'm so glad I did it. Not for the vaccine, not for not for anything, just for myself, that this is no longer a stronghold and a scare point for me. Right now, we live in such a polarizing climate, and the ridiculous notion that we fall into time and time again is that if we just explained our point of view clearly enough with enough oomph, that the polarization would end by everybody coming to agree with us. And it's never going to happen. The only way that this polarity ends, that we come together, is if we listen to each other. It's easy to sit in the anti-vax camp and say that, everybody who vaccinates against this virus is living in fear and just trying to preserve their life. It's also easy to sit in the vaccinated camp and say that everybody who won't take this vaccine is selfish, is conspiracy theorists. But the truth of the matter is that the truth is a fair bit more complicated than that. That, these people that you disagree with, that you demonize, that you paint out as the enemy, these are people who put their pants on one leg at a time, the same as you. These are people who are motivated by emotions similar to yours. Nobody wakes up in the morning, including, government, including Johnson & Johnson. Nobody wakes up in the morning thinking, how can I be evil today? Yeah, there are some corrupt people out there. Most people are just trying to do a little bit of good. So as I wrap up, let me leave you with this. If you've gotten the vaccine like me, you're probably way ahead of me because I'm late to the game here. But I want to say thank you for doing your part to end this pandemic. Thank you for looking after your neighbors. Thank you for your courage. And please, if you know people who have chosen not to get the vaccine, please don't judge them. Don't assume that they're selfish. They're looking at a hard set of facts, the same as you are, and they're just trying to do the best that they can to protect themselves, to protect their family, to do the right thing. If you've chosen not to get the vaccine, I don't want you to feel any judgment from me. I'm not getting it for my kids. I'm not pressuring my wife or anyone else to get it. It's a intensely personal choice, and I believe there's a lot of people who shouldn't have it, and that's totally okay. But if you've decided not to get vaccinated, please do not judge the people who have. Please don't assume that they got it out of fear or ignorance. You think that you're educated because you're subscribed to your news, but your news feed is curated for you. If you like the vaccine, it will feed you good news about the vaccine. If you don't like it, it will feed you bad news about the vaccine. And it's so easy to think that that's empirical, to think that it's unbiased. And it's so easy to see that the other person's news is biased, that it's so hard to see your own. I know that it's super cliche at this point to say that we're all in this together, but yet I still feel like we could hear it another 10 or 20 times because I'm not sure that it's totally sunk in yet. I really would like for us to be all in this together. And let me just leave you with this one last thought, is that this is so a season to be aware of where your hope and your salvation is found. You know, I have at times put a lot of hope in safety measures, in social distancing, in masks, in hand sanitizer. And the truth of the matter is that none of those things are capable of saving me. You know, if I did everything right, if I avoided the virus, if I did all the safety measures, I could still die in a car accident tomorrow, you know, or I could still catch coronavirus, even if I did everything right. You just never know, right? These cannot be my savior. And in the same way, the vaccine cannot be my savior. You know, it may save me from the virus. It may do worse things to me than the virus ever did. It's not likely. It's always possible. It can't be my savior. I only have one savior. His name is Jesus. And you know what? If the worst should happen to me, I'm going to be with him. And you know, if I have to endure pain because of this, he'll be with me through it. But the coolest, the best part of this season for me has been the systematic removal and tearing down of these other potential false saviors. You know, my hope is in one thing alone. It's not in a vaccine, it's not in a virus. And you know, my fear of these things has been removed. And that is just incredible that, you know, my relationship with Jesus has grown closer through this. And I hope the same for you. Whatever you've decided to do in this season, whatever you continue to decide to do, I don't know that it matters so much, but I really hope that what you do and what you stand for draws you closer to him. And by the way, there's no third arm yet. It's a little sore. I was a little tired. That's about it so far. Fingers crossed.